Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid. But today is Monday, and of course the month of September continues to move along as we speak. But we've got lots to discuss with you during the course of the show. And without further ado, this is the lineup that we are going to share with you during the course of the show. First of all, we're going to talk about the elections that are going to happen in the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in 3 phases. Now, there's a lot of anticipation, we can say, but also apprehension from the people of the Indian Held Valley on the way things have been moving along before the elections happen. There is a deliberate attempt by the BJP and the Modi government to undermine the genuine leadership within the Indian illegally occupied valley. But of course, we don't know what the outcome of these elections is going to be and how they're going to move along. But there's a certain pressure tactic that the current Modi government is undertaking on the people and the legislative elections in the Indian Held Valley. Will it work in the favor of these elections? Only time will tell. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the upcoming SCO heads of government meeting that is going to be held on the 15th and the 16th of October, which is next month, which is just in a couple of weeks as we speak, and a lot of anticipation on that. We're going to discuss some of the aspects of that as a precursor. Then we are going to talk about the International Identity Day that is being observed in Pakistan today. The theme this year is celebrating the right to be visible. Our Prime Minister says individuals who voluntarily register themselves as organ donors will have a special logo printed on their national ID cards, and he also talked on many other important things. We'll be discussing that in our third segment. Then we are going to talk about the attack on Donald Trump that happened. Now the former president is safe following what the FBI says appears to be an attempted assassination while playing golf 2 months after another attempt on his life at a rally in Pennsylvania. This is going to be our fourth story. And finally, we're going to talk about the 76th Primetime Emmyawards that happened in the evening of yesterday, but early this morning, Pakistan time. And of course, the clear winners were Shogun as well as a Netflix drama, and this is which is of course called Baby Reindeer. So these were the main winners, but a lot of other winners also. We will be highlighting some aspects of that in our last story. Let's begin with our first story, and that concerns the elections under the Indian occupation. Now, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has campaigned in Jammu, occupied Jammu, on Saturday in the build-up to the elections for the local assembly, a day after 2 soldiers were killed in gunfight with Kashmiri fighters. Now, to discuss various aspects of these legislative elections that are going to be held in 3 phases in the Indian Held Valley, we've been joined by 2 guests, one in the studio and one online. In the studio, we've been joined by Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha Bhatti. She's a foreign affairs analyst. Dr. Sahiba, thank you very much to have joined us. It's our first interaction, so welcome to my show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And online, we've been joined by Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan. He's a former ambassador and a foreign analyst and a frequent visitor to our show. Thank you very much, Dr. Sahib, to have joined us. Let's begin with you, Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha. Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha, Narendra Modi campaigns in the Indian occupied Jammu on Saturday on the build-up to the elections that are going to be held in 3 phases, of course. He says the changes in the region in the last decade are nothing short of a dream. I'm just quoting some of what he said. He was, of course, referring to what happened on the 5th of August 2019. He says the territory has been without an elected local government since 2019 when its partial autonomy was cancelled by him. Then he says the stones that were picked up earlier to attack the police and the army are now being used to construct a new Jammu and Kashmir, quote unquote. This is an era of progress. Terrorism is on its last leg here, quote unquote. Now, Modi and his government, and we all know, have made various changes in the Held Valley, whether it be demographic or otherwise. Modi pledged at the rally that his party will make the region secure and prosperous, that is free of terrorism and is a haven for tourists. Do you think that the Kashmiris in any way are accepting all these larger than life claims that are being made by Narendra Modi?
Well, when we look into the politics, actual politics, whatever is going on in the Kashmir and rest of the world, it's always something you are looking into is different from the actual picture. So definitely the actual picture is very different. We will look into their statistics, the data, the involvement of UN and UNSC and the international human rights organizations. They are the data they are providing, it's completely different. The Kashmiris are not happy. Obviously, the India being they're claiming as the biggest democracy in the world, they are doing doing a highly undemocratic thing in Kashmir, because Kashmir is, ideally it should be, there should be plebiscite, but it's not there. They are trying to, make the world understand, to make the world adjust themselves with the changes, India has made in 2019. So according to that, they want this to accommodate themselves and accommodate the others, rest of the states, so that the people can know, okay, the Kashmiris, they can understand, okay, we are ready to give the elections a good go, but things are different. These elections, with the announcement of the election, you can understand that they were trying to, they actually, the government, BJP government, they appointed more and more army security forces over there. So it's highly militarized region. And another thing is that the day on the day of announcement of the elections, they actually increase the power of the lieutenant general over there. That's another something. Okay, if you are comfortable for conducting the elections, why are you doing that? And what are the changes they made in lieutenant general's powers? He's the person who can nominate anybody, can change or address the cabinet meeting. Or the other thing is that if he is going to take any action, nobody is going to veto it, even the legislative council that is going to come. So if the the representative of the BJP government sitting in the Kashmir is going to take all the actions, that then this government they are trying to make in the Kashmir, it's going to be a toothless government.
As has been in the case before as well. Dr. Jamil, coming to you. Now, the occupied territory has seen a violent protests ahead of the first local assembly polls in a decade, which of course begin next weekend. When you come to violence in the Indian Hill Valley, this is nothing new for the people in the Indian Hill Valley. It has been happening since decades, and they have been protesting about it, but nothing happens, and the Indian army and the Indian government does whatever it wants there. There is a now, but what is a little bit different this time is that there are clashes between fighters and security forces. The Indian army says that there is a firefight that took place on Friday in Kishtwar district. 2 soldiers were left dead, 2 others were injured. The Indian Prime Minister had pledged at the Saturday rally that his party would build a secure and prosperous Kashmir that is free of terrorism and is a haven for tourists. Now, when you look at these clashes and whatever is happening now, whatever is happening before, and since years and years and decades before, and the number of Indian troops also that are currently deployed in the Indian Hill Valley, how do you view the legitimacy of these upcoming polls? And when you look at how they are more or less centered around violence and curbs on basic rights.
This orchestrated illegality which is going on in Jammu and Kashmir since the last about almost the several decades. And it's just an effort towards justification which BJP government want to project it in front of the world community, that what they did on the 5th of August 2019, they are giving all the justification that now they have announced the election, now they have brought the peace and tranquility in Jammu and Kashmir, and now there is a complete environment for the election, and that's why the election is now being held on the 18th September up to, and then they will announce the results, 3 phases election, they'll announce the result on the 4th of October. So this basically an eyewash, which India has been always trying to make an effort to ensure that the world does not know the actual and factual position. Although there have been reports by the Human Rights Commission, there are several other reports by the Amnesty International, there are reports by the United Nations. So all these reports are complete evidence which it presents that there is not a normalcy there. There is a whole atrocity going on. There are extrajudicial killings still going on. There is a resistance by the local population. There is a freedom fighting which is authorized under the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2649. So if we combine all these things, what the legal situation is and what Modi government is doing, it's contrary to that. But why the world is not really paying any heed to it? Because of the geopolitical landscape which has emerged in this region or around the globe, and because of which the powers which matter, including the United States, they are turning their eyes towards a different direction, and they're not really much bothered what India is doing. Now, coming on this campaign, Modi has announced about, there are hundreds and thousands of the employment to the people, to the youth of that region, the Union Territory now, and also a medical college. He has offered them, and as you said, that the tourism and the prosperity, and it's going to become a heaven for the people living in that. So there's basically an optics which he's trying to project and he's give to the world community, and therefore what you see the campaign. And then besides that, the government machinery, which is totally deployed for the manipulation of the election, is starting pre-election poll, during election poll, and after election. What they're going to do, they have set the stage for that. And Modi's campaign would give a strength to the bureaucrats, would give the strength to those politicians who are involved in demographic change.
Stay online with us. There's a little bit of disturbance as far as our conversation is concerned technically, but we'll get back to you in a bit. Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha Bhatti, coming to you, Kashmiris are, of course, as I've said, resentful of these restrictions on their civil liberties, not since now, but since a very, very long time. The BJP, but it's a bit strange this time, despite all the pressure tactics that it is implying on the people in Kashmir, it is still wary of how the people are going to vote. That is why it's only fielding candidates in a minority of seats that are concentrated in just some areas. A total of 8.7 million people are going to be eligible to vote for this region's assembly when the election begins on the 18th of this month, which is the day after tomorrow, with results expected on the 4th, as Dr. Saab also pointed out. Do you feel that the BJP will win votes this time?
Absolutely not. Why? Because the fear is it's completely exposed, because they are fearful, because they know that they are not going to win it. They are not going to make them fool again, Kashmiris. And but there are two things. One thing is, okay, if the vote turnover is more, that is going to be toward the independent candidates. It's not going to be for any BJP candidate or BJP, wherever BJP is conducting the elections. And the second thing is, the Kashmiri, they are more toward the intellect, because they are trying to show their protest by voting. And that is something that's new, because it's new generation, and they know their rights, and they are trying to express their feeling, their anger, their resentment toward India by casting the vote to those members, to those candidates who are against the BJP policies. And one of the example is this Abdul Rashid, and how he won the elections, and how even he was imprisoned, but he won the election previously. Why? Because
the people vote for him.
Yeah, people vote for him, and again, in the future, we are going to expect the same thing. And there is another thing: if any political party from PDP or NC or from Abdul Rashid Awami Ittihad Party, all of three parties, their election motto is that they are going to revert that legislative change that India did in 2019. And obviously, it's lose-lose scenario. Either side, India is going to lose it. Either India is conducting the election or not. In the both sides, India is going to lose it.
All right, that's your point of view. Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan Saab, Kashmiris, as you very well know, have been denied to vote since decades. This is the first election that is happening in around 10 years in the Indian Held Valley. If I'm right, or if I'm wrong, please do correct me. Now, every voice that is emanating from the occupied valley is being overshadowed by the extremist thinking of the BJP, by the Kashmir, and the Kashmiri people, of course, are losing their true representatives one way or the other, whether by incarceration or by other means whatsoever. In that case, what do you feel, will the Kashmiris allow such kind of tactics to happen, or will they show their will by the right to vote, by the way they will vote for the candidate of their choosing?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, the BJP government has already set a complete stage for the manipulation of the election. And this was not only done now, but it is for the last several years they are doing it, including after the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. What they started doing was that first of all, they started changing the demography, and about more than 2.5 million new voters they have been able to register to the election commission. and equal number are almost millions to the domicile. They have changed their demography of it, and then not only they didn't stop it only there. They also then brought the delimitation. They started carving out those constituency as per their choices and as per the vote distribution. So that is second, which is apparent. And third one is the fear. Third one is the deployment. And the fourth one is curfew-like situation. And the fifth one is the way they are suppressing people before election and the way they are going to do it during election. So you asked me a question about how people are going to vote. People are going to vote the way they want their candidates of their own choice, particularly the coalition of Congress and National People's Party. So they probably are going to, mostly they are going to vote for them, but vote count could be different because of this manipulation, because of the rigging, which they have already showed their skepticism. The Kashmiris have already showed their skepticism. So these three-phase election in the Union Territory, so to say now, they have already divided, and they made a complete strategy, the Indian authorities there, the complete strategy how they are going to manipulate and how they are going to count those votes and how they are going to bring it in their own favor, and later on project it to the world that the democracy has again returned to Kashmir, without going into the history that how did they undemocratically dissolve the assembly through a presidential order, whereas their own constitution has a very clear articles in it that no amendment could be done. The assembly cannot be dissolved without the resolution of the Constitutional Assembly, which existed at that time. So that was one violation. Second violation was that it was through the presidential order. Third violation is that after having done all, they have really unleashed all kind of atrocities. They enhanced it, and what I'm saying, there's a complete report of the Human Rights Commission issued by the Human Rights Council, which is a subsidiary, which is an entity, which is a body of the United Nations, and which contains all the evidence in it. It's not only it doesn't finish here. In fact, the Amnesty International has its own report, which is
Dr. Jamil, there are so many reports that highlight the truth of exactly what is happening. But the fact is that the Indian government has gotten away with so much in the past as well. And the very fact that the Indian Held Valley and the whole concept of the Indian Held Valley is disputed at the United Nations, that they couldn't have done what they did in 2019 even, because it is a disputed issue within the United Nations since 1948, and they could not have changed anything, but they did, didn't they? So let's see what happens this time is the election as well. Stay with us. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the upcoming SCO heads of government meeting that's going to be held between the 15th and the 16th of next month. We've already had a meeting of the finance ministers, commerce ministers of the SCO states that happened just a few days back and was held very successfully. Jam Kamal Khan Sahab, of course, presided over it. To discuss more of as a precursor, the aspects of the SCO heads of government meeting, we continue to be joined by Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha Bhatti as well as Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan. Let's begin with you, Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha. The SCO represents a significant cross-regional bloc. It accounts for nearly half of the world's population and a substantial portion of the global GDP as well. How important for our public sake is the SCO? What role, in your point of view, has it played and could play?
It's a really interesting question, Omar. We have to understand that we are living in a very crucial era where we are facing two Cold Wars. Initially, there used to be one Cold War. Now we are observing two Cold Wars. One is between America and Russia. The other is America and China. Then there are active war zones, in the Europe as well as in the Middle East. Then we are expecting another, the potential war zone in Taiwan. We know that it's going to happen anytime soon. In this scenario, the rise of the regionalism and how the multilateralism is increasing, and we are moving far ahead from the American liberalism. So now it's not a unipolar world. We are moving to the multipolar world, and in multipolar world there should be regional identities, states more and more.
We are in a multipolar world. We have to go to a short break. Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha will be right back after that. Stay tuned.
Sure.
Welcome back, and of course we're discussing the upcoming SCO Heads of Government meeting, and we continue to be joined by our two guests, Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha Bhatti as well as Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, and we were discussing the whole concept of multilateralism with Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha. Yes, you were saying.
Multilateralism, actually, it's a new phenomena, and states are more interested in that. And in multilateralism aspect, there is an aspect of regionalism, where the states, connected borders, and the close regions, they are more and more interested in connectivity for the sake of terrorism, to counter the terrorism, to look after the economic matters and the security and IT and so many things. SCO is one of those, that famous regional organization. And initially, when they started, it was Shanghai 5 and limited the area of influence, but now the area of influence has been increased. Turkey and Hungary, they are even interested to take part in it. Iran has already joined, Belarus has already joined. So the area has been expanded, so as that their responsibilities as well. Now from the counter-terrorism, they are moving toward economic. We have seen the ministerial meeting a few days back, and they were talking about this, and that's the need of the time. And we were talking about how these states should be economically interconnected, but yet they have got divergent interests as well. The India is there, we have some issues with them, and then China and India again, and then the complexity is there, and so many divergent issues, but yet we should always look into the matters with a positive mind and optimistic attitude. But yes, SCO has got potential to work on so many things, so economic matter, IT, it could be the human capitalism, and it on health issues, and so by so they are talking about to build some SCO university. That's again people to people interaction is going to be really interesting.
I think it's very important. I think people to people contact becomes a primordial aspect of any relationship, whether it be bilateral or multilateral within the ambit of the SCO and other organizations. Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan Sahab, the heads of government meeting is going to be held on the 15th and the 16th of October, which is just in a couple of weeks' time. And of course, Pakistan currently holds the rotating chairmanship of the SCO Council of Heads of Government, which is the second highest SCO forum that deals with all the economic, trade, social, cultural, humanitarian issues, as well as the personal and budgetary matters of the organization. How important do you feel is this upcoming meeting under the current geopolitical scenario that is engulfing the region and the world? What could be the possible items on the agenda to be discussed during this meeting?
Whatever we are going to discuss, first of all, we have to recognize, and the world recognizes, that Shanghai Cooperation Organization, 40% of the world population live in these countries of Shanghai. Now it's more because Iran has joined, Belarus has joined, there are a whole lot of other countries. They have given an application to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In coming few years, you will find scores of more countries, joining in SCO. What does it demonstrate? It demonstrates, yes, multilateralism, but with a bloc politics. And because the world is moving from global west to global east, and the world has the realization, the members of the world community, they have the realization, and that's why they've started focusing more on this organization, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, like EU, like other organizations, that they are formed. And Shanghai Cooperation Organization also has been formed under the United Nations Charter, Chapter 8. So it has all the features, all the strength which other regional organizations have, like the EU, like AU, like so many other regional organizations. But this is the most powerful because, as I said, that now it's about over 45% of the world population, 30% of the global GDP. And now it will, in the more countries they join, the more the global GDP, you'll find that will be added to it. 4 nuclear countries in it. Now with this, we should also have in our mind that we in this region we also have the another regional organization, and before I switch over to that, that's the ECO, of which there are common members of the Central Asian countries and South Asian countries. I'll come on that later, but we are talking about SCO and the forthcoming head of the government summit, what we're going to have in Pakistan through and being a chair to a rotational mechanism. So basically, it's the promotion of the regional economic preparation in various forms, fostering favorable environment, trade, investment, and gradually achieving free flow of goods and services. So connectivity becomes another important. While we talk about the connectivity,
there's a whole ambit of
we
things that will be discussed during the course of this upcoming heads of government meeting, and it's very important under whatever is happening in the region and whatever is happening in the world as well, because the SCO is slowly and steadily proving to be a very robust organization that could play an important part, not only to handle the current situations that engulf the world, but also to move in the right direction and strengthen the region in that context. Thank you very much, Ambassador Jamil Ahmed Khan Sahab, to have joined us. Last question to you, Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha. The deliberations of the outcome of the 23rd meeting of the ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization member states that represent for foreign economic and trade activities, that was recently held, and you talked about it on the 12th of September. This is going to be discussed and approved in this upcoming meeting. Also, it is going to be held on the 15th and the 16th of October. So, of course, the meeting becomes extremely important, and we have all the heads of the government that will be arriving, inshallah, in Pakistan as well. Those that Pakistan sides with, those that Pakistan has and could have an animosity with, but we'll see whether that country comes or does not come. This said, what's your take as far as the importance of this meeting is concerned?
If we look into the previous meeting that held in Astana at 3 and 4 July, so there were a lot of things that actually they discussed, and they make it happen in the form of so many things, security, trade, energy and finance and related to IT issues. And I'm hoping that probably they are going to reinforce, discuss the same things over here again. It was related to, the Astana declaration was basically related to the development, economic cooperation, and similarly the same thing they are going to discuss in this upcoming meeting as well. Then there was related to anti-drug policies as well, because, this region is facing that drug issues. And then there is another thing, the Putin, Mr. Putin suggested that de-dollarization policy, and states accepted it. And
that's a very important point.
And this de-dollarization, and actually it is successfully being done in BRICS as well. So there is BRICS Pay. So if they are going to, states, either they are going to accept the same policy in this SCO, it's going to be a big setup for America as well, and obviously the skepticism is there in the West, but it's really going to be a very interesting factor, and we are looking forward to it.
Because this is what the SCO wants. It wants to become independent, it wants to become strong, it wants to be robust, and wants to work for all the countries that represent it. I think they are working and moving in the right direction. Let's see what happens on the 15th and 16th of October. Thank you very much, Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha Bhatti, also to have joined us, foreign affairs expert, Dr. Gul.i.Ayesha Bhatti. We hope to see more of you in the coming days as well. Let's come to our third story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns NADRA and of course the National Identity Day. The National Identity Day is being observed today as we speak. This year's theme is celebrating the right to be visible. In the message on the occasion, our Prime Minister has said that individuals who voluntarily register themselves as organ donors are going to have a special logo printed on their national identity cards. He also said that we reflect on the profound significance of identity in our society. It is not merely a matter of recognition, but a cornerstone of inclusion, representation and access to essential services. He said on this day he is pleased to announce the launch of the national initiative aimed at promoting organ donation that I talked to you about. He said that he urges everybody to work collectively toward building a more inclusive world where every individual's rights are recognized and respected. He also said that there was a need to identify and address the critical gaps in the current national registration and biometric ecosystem. He also said that his government remains dedicated to implement the policies that promote transparency as well as accountability to foster trust among the citizens and encourage greater participation in civic duties, thereby strengthening the democratic fabric of Pakistan. We've been joined by the spokesperson of NADRA right here in the studios. He's a dear friend, Syed Shabahat Ali. Thank you very much, Shabahat, to have joined us. Shabahat, NADRA, the role of this very, very important organization and the services that are being given to its citizens have also been enumerated by our Prime Minister today on the occasion of the International Identity Day. Relating to this, how important is the objective or the role of NADRA as far as helping the citizens of Pakistan is concerned?
Thank you very much, Omar, first of all, for inviting me in the studio today. It's a very important day, and as you said, it's a very pertinent subject as well. So when we talk about the identification, it's very essential, important to understand that it's your document of identification that essentially connects a citizen to the government. And when I say that, any services that the government has to extend to a citizen has to come through certain identification that is issued by the government. There are many people in the world who are deprived of their identity, and so there are such authorities, such organizations in every country that register their citizens. And in Pakistan, this is NADRA.
Of course.
We have our foothold in every district of the country, almost every tehsil. So put the numbers straight, 865 ID card offices, which we call NRC technically, 231 mobile service units, in addition to 76 manpack units, which are dedicated to serve the people who cannot walk to the offices because of illness or old age or anything. So this is what we are, and we are providing services not only to the citizens, but also to a variety of stakeholders, both in public and private sector.
All right. One thing when it comes to the citizens of Pakistan is the different methodologies through which NADRA identifies them. How is it carried out? Is it robust? Does it take some time? And how long does it take for the complete process of identification of a new ID card?
So Omar, to begin with, we have 4 types of data that we are capturing. The first is your text data, so your name and your father name, and when your address is given, it creates a unique identification at its own. That's the first feature. We call it text data. Then comes our biometric data, which is capturing of all fingers of your hand. Let me tell you that we have so far captured 1.6 billion fingerprints of Pakistanis. So far, then your picture is taken, which helps us to establish this facial data bank, and in this we have so far captured over 145 million faces. And the very recent update is that we have started recording the irises. So that is an image of your eye, and it is a new technology for us. While you might have seen in many other countries, including UAE, for Pakistan, this is a new technology.
It makes the whole process foolproof, basically.
Foolproof, because at the age of 2, your eyes establish a particular pattern that remains unchanged, unlike your fingers, unlike your face. It remains unchanged. And we have captured 1.5 million. Importantly, the devices that are used are assembled and manufactured in Pakistan in collaboration
that's wonderful.
with NADRA.
So there is a, we know exactly how they are manufactured and what they serve. Now, there is of course a certain percentage of people in Pakistan that are still not identified or have not gone through the process of identification. Do you know what is the percentage of those?
That's ironically interesting. I mean, so the first thing is that according to the population count, there are 246.6 million people living in Pakistan. That's according to the population count. NADRA's data suggests that there are 206.4 million people who have been issued a unique identity. And that actually brings in a gap of roughly 40 million people, which is 16.4% of the overall number, and that's quite a gap. Not only it's a point of concern for us at NADRA, it's also a point of concern for the government itself. It's a point of concern for many organizations that are working to make sure that across the board, people from every walk of life get registered. Notably, more than 11 million people have not revised their CNICs. They have not gone to have a fresh CNIC once their CNIC is expired.
But Shabahat, which brings me to a very essential question. Why? Why are people not revising their NICs? Why are some people not even going to NADRA in order to register themselves as citizens?
Well, that requires a lot of research, and our research reveals that primarily it's the people in the lowest strata of society. The people at the bottom of your economic system are the ones who are most deprived. For 2 reasons. A, they lack documentation, so they don't know what do they need to do when a child is born in their house, what do they need to do, where do they need to go when they are marrying, or somebody is divorced or somebody's died in their family, where do they need to go? They don't know it. The media has also not played a role in it, as they haven't taken a lot of interest.
Now we are playing that role. We have you.
You are certainly for the first time. This is a very important topic has been taken up by PTV, for which I'm again very thankful. And also, it's a fact that there are some clusters of population where the female strata of a population is not registered deliberately. So according to population count, 48.5% of population are women. The NADRA data reveals that there are 47% women who have been issued an ID. So again, there is a gap of 1.5%. And that shows you that there are male members in many society
who do not want the females to get registered.
Who are not registered. That again becomes a point of concern for the government. Nonetheless, BISP program has played a pivotal role in accelerating and further promoting the female registration because the beneficiaries of the program are the women themselves.
All right, Shabahat, what about the complaints? For example, a lot of people have, issues regarding their registration or the whole process. It could happen, I could have a complaint, somebody else could have a complaint. In that case, how should we address our complaints? What is the mechanism for that? Is it online? Should we go to a certain office? Should we write a letter? What should we do?
Omar, this is one of the strongest area that NADRA has. So our customer services department, first of all, it works 24/7, 365 days in a year. It's Ashura, Muharram, it's Eid, it's National Day,
you're always
whatever.
There.
We are always there. We are one phone call away. Pick up your cell phone, dial 1777.
Okay.
Your phone will be responded within few minutes. If you are calling to understand which documents do you require for a certain processing, our automated IVR that has been launched today on this day of 16th of September, it will tell you what exact documents do you need to carry to another facility. If you have a complaint, the complaint will be registered. You want to send us an email, you can use CSD, which is Customer Service Department, at nadra.gov.pk. Our website, nadra.gov.pk, also has a complaints section. So if you click there, you can generate an entire ticket and our team will call you back, will email you, will make sure that your problem is addressed. And above all, if you follow us on our social media handle and you just leave a comment, somebody is going to respond.
What about those who just have access to text messages? Is there some number where we can just text and get a response?
Essentially, if you are going to inquire something, it's very important to engage into a conversation. So all the means of conversation
should be by calling the number.
So by calling or either by online or otherwise you can walk into one of our offices and can get the services available.
A lot of people also ask you, what are the rights of the citizens vis-a-vis NADRA?
So it's your right as a citizen to avail the services that NADRA is offering. You want your identification documents, you want the legitimate members, your family to be included. It's your absolute right to be respected, to be served with dignity and honor. Whatever timelines are committed, we should abide by these timelines. Nobody should take should be served before you if it's your turn. If you want to register a complaint, it's your absolute right to register that complaint, and it's our responsibility to get back to you. The structure of fees should be extremely clear. There should not be any ambiguity. Above all, you also can avail the right to information, which is given by the Constitution. All public bodies are liable, and NADRA also has a designated officer who is responsible to respond to the public queries. So you can ask the questions that
you want
are in the realm of the public affairs.
Okay, that's interesting. Also, this is one thing to address. What is the responsibility of NADRA vis-a-vis the citizens of Pakistan? But what is our responsibility as citizens of Pakistan as well?
That's a very important and a very pertinent question. I must thank you for asking me this question. So to begin with, it's your responsibility, and it's very important as well to keep your data and to keep your credentials updated with NADRA. There are any changes in your particular, you must inform immediately. That's good for you. Any new family member has been added or deleted, this needs to be informed to NADRA first. Your address has changed or anything like that, it needs to be informed. Besides the people who are not as educated or not as aware as most of us are, we should let them know that they should get their particles registered, because if you're not registered in time, if your birth is not registered in time, tomorrow it may be very difficult for you to avail not only the services extended by NADRA, but as I said earlier, the other services like BISP's cash grant, like all the provincial governments are now offering their Sehat programs that are providing health facilities free of cost. You might not be able, despite being in dire need, you cannot even go to a police station and get an FIR registered against it.
What I would like to understand is, once, for example, somebody in my family is born, a boy or a girl, or there's a marriage or there's a divorce, how long, what is the time period between the birth, the divorce, the marriage, and the time that we need to go to NADRA to register?
So in case of a birth, death, divorce and marriage, which is nikah, these are called vital events, and these vital events need to be registered in the Union Council first. So Union Council will ask you for providing any evidence, like in case of birth, they will ask for the birth certificate issued by the hospital. It's straightforward process. Once that is done, you need to bring, you need to step into NADRA's facility.
How long space do you have between the Union Council and going to NADRA?
It's as soon as you are issued the certificate from Union Council, you just walk in to NADRA's office. You don't need to bring the child to begin with. One of the parents can come, give us biometric and get this done. And by the way, that reminds me that in 10 Union Councils, we have also opened our counters to make sure that the process goes seamlessly.
All right, that's interesting. Also, speaking of today's importance, that is International Identity Day, and of course NADRA, the institution that is there for identifying the people in Pakistan, what are the new additions as far as the services, the innovations that NADRA is bringing about for us, for the citizens of Pakistan, and how it's going to benefit the people?
So to begin with, Pakistan has a rising population, and you understand that population is one of our main areas of concern. So with every rise in population, there is more people coming to NADRA. The trend of urbanization has also accelerated a lot. So just in last 1 year, the last financial year, we have established 57 new centers. Within this financial year, we are establishing another 64. So in these 2 years, collectively would have established 121 new centers. But that, we are a department of 24,000 people. We cannot be sufficient, we cannot suffice to serve 24 crore people. So we are trying to make it branchless as much as possible. Our Pak ID application.
Shehbaz, we're a bit short of time, so we have to say goodbye, but we'll of course be bringing you on board for further shows in the next phase as well. Thank you very much, Syed Shabahat Ali, to have joined us. Let's come to our news very, very quickly. The first concerns an attack on Donald Trump. This is the second attack that has happened to him since the last one that happened. And of course, the law enforcement agencies say that the man who pointed the rifle and was arrested is Ryan Wesley Routh. This and of course the emmyawards that are going on. This brings us to the end of Newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us, you in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.